How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of True North Fighters, courtesy of ya boys K9 Calamity. This is Wolfpak reporting for duty,
And
and
this is
as always, Shamaro is in the studio.
yes, this is Shamaro the Dragon Fox entering the dojo.
And boy, oh boy, we got a good one here today. Before we get started, just want to point out, hopefully everybody has been enjoying the new format that we have implemented. It was definitely something that we all tried to come to an agreement on. Something, it had its ups, it had its perks and its downsides, but ultimately we wanted to do what was pretty much what was best for not just for us, but for you guys as well, the listeners. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying the new format. And with that said, let's dive right into it. So today we are talking about combos. And no, we're not talking about the popular pretzel snack. No, we are talking about combos in video games. So, Shamaro, my man, combos.
First off, hold on, there's a pretzel snack called combos.
Yes, there is. And you know what? They are really good, actually. But I'm not going to go too far with that because I don't want us to end up being on a hungry stomach mid recording. So I won't go too far into that. But yes, there is actually a snack called combos.
I'll have to get me some of those sometimes. Anyway, as to the actual combo that we're referring to this episode, well, it depends on the game, really, Wolf. Like, we obviously have the usual arcade classic kind of control scheme where you have your light, medium, and heavy punches and kicks.
Oh yeah.
So for those sort of control schemes, I I tend to find myself going for typically, honestly, I'm kind of basic in this regard. Like, I usually start out with a couple light punches followed by a medium punch, and then I might string that into maybe a low leg kick, and then either a medium or heavy kick.
Okay.
That that is
Not
typically
bad.
my bread and butter combo for if I'm doing like the old arcade control schemes, and that typically holds true to say if I'm using the modern control scheme in Street Fighter 6. That is typically kind of what I go with. Obviously, because it's a simplified control scheme, I usually just go with light, medium, maybe crouching light, crouching medium, or crouching heavy at the end.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with, keeping things simple because sometimes simplicity is the better option.
Yeah, although even with that, I find that I do have a decent amount of trouble like actually ending my combos. Like, I can start a combo pretty easily. I can keep it chaining pretty well most of the time, but as for a combo ender, I find I'm not too fluid with coming up with a combo ender. Like, usually I'm just dropping the combo at like maybe 5 or 6 hits in.
Yeah, I can definitely go on and say that nailing combo enders is probably the hardest part of working with a combo system because yeah, it's pretty easy to start a combo. It's pretty easy to extend the combo. But yeah, most of the time the hardest part of it is just trying to find the right move to end the combo with.
What I find is usually I have to either have like a special move that I'm confident in being able to put the input in to chain it into, or I need to just have enough meter to do like a finishing super move.
Yeah.
And that's basically like all I usually have as far as combo finishers. But aside from that, I never really know how to do it. Maybe another way I could try to start doing combo enders is maybe if I throw if maybe I chain to a throw just to get some distance between me and the opponent, and then I
Yeah.
can just like go into the next combo.
Yeah, I definitely think that throws could be a pretty good way to end a combo. That's actually something I rarely even think about. So even though that I am pretty decent with combos, I never actually really put that much thought into utilizing throws as a way to end a combo. So that's definitely going to be something I'm going to work on for sure. Going forward, I'm very curious, what games and which characters are you most comfortable with when it comes to coming up with combos?
Well, let's just run through the big three for starters. So,
Yeah, that works.
Street Fighter 6, I would say I'm kind of a Shota guy when it comes to SF6, so I would say probably Ryu and Ken are probably my main guys for getting out like long streams of combos. Although I will say I am also kind of partial to your girl Cammy. I will admit she is very good for extending good combos.
Absolutely.
And then if we're talking Mortal Kombat, I guess it kind of depends on which Mortal Kombat we're referring to. If we were talking about 11, you know, my girl Jade would be my top pick
Oh yeah.
for combo
Oh yeah.
simplicity and just getting those out. But if it's not MK11, if we're talking MK1, I would say again, kind of basic here, but I would say Liu Kang is probably my bread and butter for that. Maybe also Raiden, and I'm decent with Kenshi, but you know it's kind of hit or miss with him. I'm still getting used to his controls and whatnot. So yeah, those would be my mains for MK. And then if we're talking Tekken, I think you know who I'm gonna choose for Tekken.
Yeah, Mr. Heihachi Mishima. That
Well, yeah, he's one, and but I will say, given that I have had limited time with him so far in T8, I wouldn't say I'm to the point where I'm totally comfortable with him like for long combos, but I will get there eventually. For the
oh
time
for
being
sure.
though, if we're talking like ease of combos, I would say Reina is obviously my go-to. I mean
Yes.
I've labbed her the most, so I'm definitely most comfortable with her. I do have a bit of consistency as well with combos as far as June goes. I will say she is by far the easiest character I've found so far to throw out a launcher and like get the air combos going, because it's literally just her forwards. I Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on what buttons do what, but forwards. Oh my gosh,
Well, just to help you out, you do have to remember that with the face buttons for Tekken, they're tied to the character's limbs.
yes, and that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember. Whatever button controls it's one of the arm buttons. It's I believe it's forward square. That's what it is. Forward square.
Okay, so that would be, I believe that would be the left arm. I think that's the left arm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say square for the time being because that's easier for
Yeah.
me to remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, forward square by far one of the easiest launchers in the game. So love her for just getting out the early air combos. I will say her other movements, she like you know she's not too much of a rushdown character. She's more of a zoner than anything else, if in my opinion. So like because she has all those sweeping arm movements,
Oh,
so it
yeah.
can be a bit tricky for me to nail combos without the launcher, but you know still decent. And you know her sweeping motions, you know it is hard to tell what the step's gonna look like, if it's gonna be like a mid or a low sweep. So there's that. And then aside from June and Reina and Hiachi, I think you know who the fourth one is.
I would have to say, well, I'm gonna assume that we're going back to Tekken 7, and
No,
that,
no, 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 no. T8. We're sticking with
okay,
T8.
so we're still sticking with T8. Okay,
Yes, of course.
fair enough. So Jun, Reina, Heihachi. Okay, I am gonna go with. Oh my gosh, I hate myself for the fact that I'm blanking on this, but I'm gonna take a stab anyways at it. I believe you are referring to Lydia. I think you're referring to Lydia.
Eh.
No,
All right. Now, Lydia is your combo fodder. Mine is
right.
Kuma.
That's right. Oh my god.
Kuma for sure, and then maybe as a close fifth place, I would say Law, because his nunchucks do some really good fast
Oh yeah.
actions. So
Yep. Law kicks a lot of ass with those nunchucks. So definitely a lot of combo potential there.
yeah, so if we're talking the top three series, those are my picks for Street Fighter 6, T8, and MK's 11 and 1.
Those are some solid choices.
Yeah, but what about you, Wolf? Like, what, like, like within the top three, what are your bread and butter, just general combos, and then what are your character selects?
Okay, so I forgive me, guys, because I am gonna get a tad bit technical with my explanation.
Dude,
So
don't worry. This is not
uh,
this is not a beginner focused episode. This is a veterans episode, so you can get
good
as
point.
as
Yes,
technical as you want to.
of course. So if we're talking Street Fighter 6, obviously you know me. Cammy is my main girl. She's my number one. So I feel fairly confident in pulling off combos with Cammy. My go-to, my bread and butter, so to speak, is just a simple 1-2 into spiral arrow. It's a very simple combo. It's like it's a 3-hit combo. Does some fairly decent damage,
Right.
overpowering, but alternatively, if I want something that's a bit more damaging, I would definitely go with a 1-2 into her level 1 super, because her level 1 super alone deals, I think it's like 6 or 7 hits, maybe 8. So,
Something
I
in that range, yeah.
yeah, I know it's extremely simplistic, but like I said at the top of the episode, sometimes simplicity is the better way to go. And
True. But I just want to ask, when you say 1-2 combo, is that 1-2 just two lights in a row? Is that like a light then a medium, light heavy? Like what is the
yeah, it would be light punches, 1-2 connecting, because I use the modern control scheme,
right?
and the triangle button is dedicated to pulling off your specials. So that basically just leaves square, X, and circle as like your punches and kicks. And that's also for PlayStation controls, by the way.
Yep.
Just if anyone was getting confused or whatever. So yeah, typically it would be a couple light punches into spiral arrow, or a couple light punches into her level 1 super. And a third one that I have not pulled off too many times, but I feel like I should pull off more often, is going 2 light punches into a light kick into any of my supers, essentially.
Okay, so you're talking. So you said light punches and light kicks. So I assume you're talking like if you're going into like classic control scheme.
Pretty much. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because like the modern control scheme, it's pretty locked in as far as like what moves you can combo it with.
Yeah, exactly. And those are things that I'm hoping to fine tune once I do get back into utilizing the classic control scheme, because obviously I'm absolute crap at using the classic control scheme in past Street Fighter games. So utilizing the modern control scheme, like, I understand it's limiting, but I'm trying to find what works for me with what I can work with.
Right.
Oh, it's just a matter of finding what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's all we can really do.
Exactly. And for the most part, going light punch into either neutral special or directional special, or light punch into a level 1 or level 2 super, that's pretty much universal across the characters that I play as in SF6. So that'd be Cammy, Marissa, Manon, Chun-Li. I probably close to like half that roster. I've played at least once, and yeah, I'd probably say that that's the key for me in Street Fighter 6. When it
Okay, so what about MK
Tekken 8, when it,
or T8? Yeah.
I am gonna have to say that my go-to characters would
Wait,
be
wait, hang on. Let me guess. I'm predicting you're going to say Lars.
good guess, but no.
Really? Lars is not your go-to for combos in T8.
I See, I'm still working on Lars. I mean, he moves really, really quickly. He's one of the fastest characters in the game. And even though that I know he's one of the fastest characters in the game, just in terms of general movement, it still blows my mind that he's that fast. Like I still have a hard time comprehending that. So
Hmm.
uh
So if it's not Lars, then I'm gonna guess my other guess, which is Lee.
also a no.
What? Okay, those two are like your go-to boys in Tekken. So if it's
I
not them,
I
then I am
ironically, no. I mean, I do play Lars. I just don't play him too often. Lee, I barely ever touch Lee. I
really.
do
I
not
could
touch him.
I could have sworn you played Lee more often than I thought.
Nope, I actually do not. I actually don't. So
Okay, well if you're not,
I play the most in Tekken 8. The characters I play the most in there, including DLC, are Jin, Lydia, Heihachi. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's Jin, Lydia, and Heihachi.
hmm,
So with Jin, it's very simple. Pretty much a 2-1-2 is my bread and butter there. Or actually not 2-1-2. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. It's just your simple 2-1, and then I believe that goes into, okay, so it's 2-1-3 and 2-1-4. So those are my go-tos for Jin, because with Jin's moveset, that is probably one of the simplest. Those are a pair of the simplest combos you can pull off that actually do some decent damage.
if you start with two, you go to one, and for those who do not understand what we mean by 1, 2, 3, 4, we're talking like we're basically referring to certain buttons for the face button. So
Yeah,
one would be what would be square, and then two
yeah,
would be triangle, X would be three, and circle would be four.
exactly.
Yeah, so 1, 2 are the arms, 3 and 4 are the legs. But yeah, like if you start out with a two punch, you go to a one punch, and but then you have to then jump to the opposite side of the face button panel. I never really understood how people are supposed to pull those off because like sure, if you have like side by side buttons, sure, but if you have to go across the diamond that the buttons make up though, for some reason that has always given me trouble, and I do not know why. So
I understand why it gives you trouble, because it seems very unconventional.
well, it's not so much that it's unconventional. It's more that just the time that it takes to get from one button to the next. Like if you're doing 2 to 1, they're right side by side, and the distance to get to them to get your thumb between 2 and 1 is shorter than if you had gone from 1 to 4.
This is true. I do admit it can be a challenge, especially considering how fast you have to be in order to keep your combos going. You need to be really freaking fast. And keep in mind, this is without putting in any sort of directional inputs either. This is just standing neutral inputs. That's it.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy. When I'd ever usually with Tekken, usually with a lot of my Tekken characters, I will usually just go into like either 1, 1, 2 or 1, 2, 1, 1 kind of just arm combos, and
yeah,
then once I push my opponent back a bit, then I might try to do like a heavier leg movements. But yeah, I almost never go immediately from a punch to a kick.
yeah, I can definitely see that. It can be very tough, and especially considering the fact that you do have a disability as well. So that does play into things a bit. It makes things a bit more challenging.
And let me correct you there.
Sorry,
My
not
my
a not
my
necessarily a disability per se.
okay, if you're talking about my legally blindness, this is a tactile thing, not a vision thing. So
Okay, okay.
yeah, so it's alright, dude. It's alright. When it comes to mapping out the buttons, that's more of just something that I map out in my head and I feel with my fingers.
Fair enough.
I honestly never look at the controller because I find that if I look at the controller and look at the buttons that I'm trying to press, my input slows down dramatically.
Okay, I see now. Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
but you know what?
With
No,
the
no
former.
worries, no worries, Wolf. It's okay. I forgive you. Like people don't often know how blind people function, so you know we'll take this as a learning experience.
Yep, that's completely fair. I will accept that. But yeah, nonetheless, for Jin, yeah, it's basically 214, and actually it's quite a few really. It's 121, 123, 124, 134, and 214. Those are pretty much my simple B and B combos for Jin. So that
And are those just like just the neutral buttons, or is it got
yeah,
like some
this
directions to
this is
it?
just neutral. I like to keep things neutral because I know that even I and believe me, I do try and incorporate directional inputs as much as I can, but I do know for a fact that because I have not been playing Tekken my entire life, I know it's still a challenge for me to connect these. I know it still is. So if you take a look at Savage Sword, for instance, one of Jin's combos, it's down back 223. So with that, that's one that I'm actually trying to improve on in terms of connecting it because when you're in an online match with someone, like you got to think fast. And to try and memorize that, it's not easy. It's not easy because you'll try and pull it off and you'll just be overthinking it so much
I
that
know, like with a lot of this, you really have to put it into muscle memory. You honestly
yeah,
need to just lab the character, do the combo over and over and over,
yeah,
and then even when you have the combo in your muscle memory, you got that plus a couple other combos that you need to memorize like just in muscle memory. And then once you actually get to the point where you're facing human opponents, then you need to get to the point where you train your brain to recognize, okay, so he's doing this, then therefore I must respond with this.
yes,
And then you have to just have like that split second thing where you do, okay, he's doing this, requires this combo, and then just let your muscle memory to kind of take over from there. So there is definitely a rigorous training process to this.
yes, for sure. So definitely trying to make sure that I can hone those skills and whatnot. There are a couple other characters that I do play as quite frequently. I did mention Lydia. I did mention Heihachi. Again, just very simple stuff. For Lydia, my bread and butter is either 123 or 124. So again, very simple. 123 is all high moves. 124 is a high low. So definitely 124. It's a good way to catch your opponents off guard in some scenarios
Okay,
because
so that's basically your bread and butter mix up combo.
yeah, essentially. So that's for Lydia. For Heihachi, I usually go I usually go 122, so the back fist combo.
Okay.
And I also do, I believe, what is it? It's the rapid crush combo, which is down forward 4-2. And it's definitely a bit more difficult, but it's very rewarding. Yes, it's only two mid hits, but you get 10 damage off of down forward 4, and you get 23 damage off of 2 after inputting down forward 4.
Good to know.
What-
I did not pick up on that when I was lapping it before, so good to know.
Yeah, so that one's really good. There was one character I did leave out by accident. I don't know why, but it's Lily. Lily's the other character that I main in Tekken 8. I've been maining her for quite a while. I still don't really have all of her stuff down, but some of my favorite moves to pull off would be Sundial, so that's forward 3-4, and then also doing 113, which is tricolore. So there's that one. It's a high mid, whereas with Sundial it's mid, and then left right piercing thorn is my other bread and butter. So that's a 124 high mid. You deal 5 with 1, you deal 12 with 2, and then you end with 20 on 4. So those are my go-tos essentially for those 4 characters. I know I just took up a lot of time talking about that, and I apologize. But yeah, that's what it's like for me for Tekken 8. With Mortal Kombat 1, hopefully this will be a little bit shorter. My go-to characters,
Sub-Zero.
that's one of my
It's
go-tos.
all like Sub-Zero is gonna always be in your top 3, at least the
Yes,
top 3.
absolutely. Sub-Zero, he's one of those characters where he's easy to pick up, and depending on what your end goal is, he's either easy to master or hard to master, or he's on an intermediate level.
I mean, that's just how shows go, and he is a Shoto.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, Sub-Zero is one of my 3 go-tos. My other go-tos would be Raiden and Smoke. So, with
Yep, saw that coming.
yeah, with Sub-Zero, my go-to is basically it's basically 2-1 down back 3. That's what I go for, and this is without using a cameo, by the way. So I do either 2-1 down back 3 or 1-2 down back 3. And so what's really great about, oh, sorry, it's back forward 3, not down back 3. Um back forward 3, which is ice slide, and that move, it does 3 hits. So it's really good to kind of wrap up your combos with semi decent style. 2-1 and 1-2 respectively. They're overhead mid, overhead mid and mid overhead, and then you transition into back forward 3, which is mid into low low. So that's definitely a really good one. Definitely one of my better ones for sure if I'm not using a cameo. But if I am using a cameo, I find that I have the best luck using Smoke. So I have labbed him the most out of every character that I've ever touched in MK1, and I've managed to come up with some really interesting combos. So a couple that I did with Serena as a cameo, I did 2-1 into back cameo, and then repeated 2-1 back cameo, and then finished it with 2-1-2, and that ends up dealing 32% damage
Wow. Okay.
altogether, which is absolutely insane. There's another B&B that I go to with this specific pairing, but the difference is how I finish. The difference is how I end the combo. So instead of going 2-1-2, at the end I go forward 4, and granted, it only does 15 hits, so it's 1 hit less than the combo I just talked about. And
Okay.
it does 31% damage. So
Hmm.
granted, it's 1 hit, it's 1 less hit, 1% less damage, but that's pretty much as high as I can get without being like a try hard.
I
And
mean, they're both pretty good combos. So at this point, we're kind of just splitting pixels, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. I have tried out some combos with Chameleon and Frost as well, when playing Smoke. So obviously 2-1-2 is that, simply put, that's my B&B with Smoke, and like just without a cameo, 2-1-2. That's what I'm going for. With Raiden, my BNB is 2-4-2-1. So that one is, I believe it is, I'm trying to think. I want to say it's mid low overhead overhead, I think. And the last hit actually bounces your opponent off the ground. So it is really good for a combo extender as well.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Because
It's really good.
it makes me realize how often I forget that there are sometimes air combos in MK.
Yes. Yeah, the combos and stuff like that in MK1, they're just absolutely insane. If you thought the combos in MK11 were crazy, the addition of the cameo system, really, really, really amps it up. And it's like combos can pretty much be borderline broken. I I believe me, I have seen a handful of touch of death combos. Uh
Yeah, like didn't Sindel have a infinite for the first little bit of the game?
yeah, something like that, yeah. At least during the first little
Like
bit
y-
before, yeah, I
yeah, like within the first week or so.
yeah, exactly. Before the first patch went live, and then like even during the beta as well, I did hear that there were quite a few TOD combos that came about. I I don't think I'm ever going to be good enough to be able to pull off a TOD, but I know for a fact that I am going to try. I'm
Well, I mean, if the devs are merciful, then they should, balance out the TOD infinite combos. So we should hopefully never have to worry about that.
Well,
but
I mean,
like
no matter how many times the game gets patched, there will be at least, a few TOD combos. Like even going back to MK11, I'm pretty sure there are still ways that you can pull off a TOD. I'm pretty sure.
I honestly would not be surprised. Like, I mean, I guess even if the devs do all they can to eke out, try to patch the TOD combos, someone's always going to try to find a workaround to find a
Yeah,
new one.
exactly. And even though it's infuriating to lose via TOD, it still feels fulfilling in a way to watch it happen
It
because
does.
it goes to show just how dedicated the player is to learning their characters, and just the sheer determination to be able to nail all those inputs precisely and be able to make it through to the very end of the combo without accidentally dropping it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
for us fighting game players, like those kind of moments are it is to us as it is to the people who watch TikTok to watch those satisfying clip videos.
Yes. Yes, I feel like that's a pretty accurate comparison. Like that's the shit that we live for,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
See
Honestly,
ass combos
even
like
yeah, even if you're on the receiving end of a TOD combo, sure, you get your ass beat, but at the same time, it's a very cathartic ass beating, and you can
that. It is.
and you can appreciate how much effort and time this person went to gain the skills that they would need to actually defeat you.
It exactly. And you know what? Yes, I just like you said, like yes, it sucks getting your ass handed to you, especially if it's done through a TOD combo. But it's like for us fighting game players, we need to start showing a bit more respect to our opponents for being able to pull out these combos that they have spent weeks and literal weeks and months trying to perfect. If it's you and me, for instance, and we're facing off and you somehow manage to like pull off a spectacular looking TOD and I lose to that, if I'm any other person, yeah, I would probably rage, I would break my controller, I would probably send a bunch of really hateful messages, but the way that I see it, I will simply sit there. I will applaud you from my side of the screen. I will say, good on you. That was a fucking fantastic combo. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I think besides the whole the fact that we need to give more respect to the people who actually put in the effort to those, I think that we also need to acknowledge that we need to grow as a community as far as like being able to take that L with dignity, like to
Yeah.
realize that we got ourselves into that L because we didn't like no one's taking responsibility for the fact that they lose. Like it's always on the fact that, oh, someone pulled off a TOD combo on me, so therefore it's not my fault that I lost. No, it is your fault that you lost, because at the end of the day, it's all because you didn't see that coming, and you still need to do a bit more training to get to the point where you can actually avoid getting stuck in those TOD combos.
Yes, this is true. And thankfully, in games like MK1 where there is a big focus on assists, thankfully there are, that's part of the reason why combo breakers exist, right? But even then, those are rare to come by, and just the overall respect that needs to be shown to people who can pull off TOD combos, or even just crazy ass combos that aren't even TOD to begin with. Like that kind of stuff is rare to find nowadays. So definitely that's something I feel like we collectively need to work on, because we're like I don't know how do I explain this? How do I say this?
I think the simplest way to put it is that we need to acknowledge that taking an L is just going to be an everyday occurrence for those of us who play on the regular. So we need to be prepared for that, and we need to prepare ourselves for the fact that there's always going to be a bigger fish, and there's always something that we can learn from that bigger fish.
Precisely. I don't think I could have put it any better.
Yeah, unfortunately, like
Not only are they fun to play, but they're learning experiences. That's part of why we're here.
yeah, and it's honestly just disappointing to me that people don't see it more like that. Like it's very rare to see people actually take those lessons these days. Like it's all like most of the time it's just like, oh, someone pull off a this crazy combo on me, this game sucks or they suck or I but like no one says, I could do better. This just shows that I have more to learn and more to improve on. No one unfortunately ever thinks that way nowadays. And I think it's something that we definitely need to try to kind of wiggle our way back to that state where we can just say, good game, GG, I lost. You pull off a great combo on me, and I will take this as a learning experience, and I will learn to make myself better the next time that I fight someone. That's really what we need to drive this whole community back into. It's unfortunate that's not where it is right now, but I think if people are gonna get better and if we're gonna get new audience members into the FGC, I think that's where we need to start going.
I definitely agree. And you know what? It's never too late to change your stance on things. It's never too late to admit to the fact that there is room for improvement. And yes, part of the reason why this happens so much is due to the lack of skill-based matchmaking in a whole ton of games.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like,
To an extent, there is some fault on the developers as well.
true. That
But
is very true.
for, yeah, but for the most part, it's pretty much self-inflicted. So basically just learning to accept the fact that there's a reason, a legitimate, valid reason why we took the L, and what are ways in which we can use that to our advantage to better ourselves in the game. Yeah, definitely more people need to well, I mean, I can't really speak for everybody, but it's definitely highly recommended that we take that in stride and we use that as a way to better our own skills so that we can be ready for the next opponent that we face and the next one after that, and so on and so
I
forth.
know, like people honestly, people need to think of this of their fighting game career, so to speak, like a shonen anime. Because shonen anime, the MC does not always win, but they will
Yes.
always put up a good fight, and it's always kick ass no matter what happens. So guys, just imagine yourselves as the MC in a shonen manga or anime. You're gonna take an L every so often. Maybe you take a lot of L's in the beginning, but it's that perseverance and learning from your mistakes that helps you build up. I mean, like that's basically the story arc of every single shonen ever. So
Yeah.
I mean those stories are popular for a reason. So take those as your inspiration to work your way through the FGC.
Of course. But let's not focus too heavily on the negative stuff, and just move forward. Just try to have as much fun as you can. You know, take these matches as learning experiences. Try and build off of that, and yeah, just show some respect. You know,
Plus,
that
I mean, like, if you ever get the chance to be beaten by like a professional, I mean, honestly, just be on that you're getting your ass kicked by a professional. Wolf, I remember when we were on call a few days ago, you were just breaking into the Marvel vs. Capcom collection,
yes.
and you were playing MVC2, and you were talking about how there was that player out there on the loose just murking everybody, and it happened to be
Yeah.
Justin Wong. And I was like, if I ever came across Justin, he started mixing me up really badly with his Storm, Magneto, and Cable, right, or whatever team of the god tiers he decides to go with. I would consider that an honor. And I would basically just put my controller down, and I would just watch and take notes.
Yes,
That would that would honestly
me
be legit
too.
what I would do.
Absolutely.
If I got paired with remind me again, what's his username? The Waggler?
The Wazzler.
Wazzler, yeah. So if I see the Wazzler, I'm just going to pick my team and then just put the controller down, get my notebook out, and just observe.
Just let the man make his
Cla- classes in session.
that there you go, exactly. So if that ever happens, and it has happened before, just take it as a humbling experience, because it's not every day that you'll run into a professional and get your ass handed to you by them. So yeah, respect goes a very long way. And I genuinely do hope that more people will begin to see that, understand it, and apply it. Again, lots of factors play into why there isn't as much respect going around and whatnot. And even from the standpoint of players who are not part of the community, players who specialize in other genres would be like, what's the point of that, right? What's the point of showing respect when the reason you're there is to win, right? So to that, and this will be one last point that I make, or actually not necessarily that, but well, just I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to say, but now I'm just getting all tongue tied here.
Yeah, sorry guys. Our editor
Yeah.
is putting out non FGC comments in the chat, and it's kind of distracting us a little bit. But to that point, Wolf, as far as like why the why the non FG fans would ask like what's the point of that? Well, think about whenever you picked up a sport in high school. Like you went in there knowing you wanted to win, like that was the main goal of it and all. But you didn't always win, and yet you kept working at it, and you got better, and you eventually got more wins under your belt. So it's kind of the same mentality as that.
Yeah, definitely. And the key factor there as well, through all of that, is that even when you're taking those losses and you're continuing to improve, you're still having fun, right? You're still having fun. So I understand that it's not completely the same situation, but there's definitely a very good comparison being presented there. And there you go. Okay, so what our editor was trying to get the point across of
Right. What's the point of having
with
loss
the
after
standpoint
loss
of,
if the opponent matchups are unfair?
yeah, and so to that, yes, I definitely understand why that is. I definitely understand where they're coming from. As our editor says here, continuous losses contribute to lower morale. That I get. I completely understand that. I've been there before, but it's just, again, just reminding yourself of the most basic things.
Yeah, like you kind of like you really have to be in the right headspace. Like you need to say, okay, so I'm taking all these L's. What's going wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like what can I improve on?
Yeah.
And yes, while it could be that you're just like always getting picked up with like matched up with these higher tier players, that's why I would say stop what you're doing, go back to the basic combos and just lab and get like the muscle memory back, and like we basically what we were saying before. It's gonna be a little bit of time intensive sometimes, but sometimes what you need to do to get better and to hold your own is to actually go back and lab a bit. And you know what? Like even if you're up against like the most incredible like top tier player, fighting games are kind of like boxing. Like sometimes the little guy will get a lucky shot, and sometimes that can lead to just you getting one up on a pro just by accident.
It's very, very true. But yeah, just remembering the the simplest, most basic things that it is at the end of the day, it's just a game. I understand that there are people who make gaming their lifestyle, and I have all the respect in the world for individuals who do that, even if their ways are pretty toxic and whatnot. Regardless, just remembering that it is a game, that there are always opportunities to improve, and that sometimes if something isn't working, you just need to stand back and reevaluate a little bit. Just say, what did I do good with? What, did I not do good with? What are some things I could try different? What, stuff like that.
Yeah,
S-
like for
Something we
me,
need to remind ourselves of.
yeah, for me, I would say like we always think of gaming as being a way to get away from real life and to escape for a little bit. But
Yeah,
I would argue that there are times, like especially with fighting games, they are a simply a facet of life. And in life in general, that's kind of mentality you gotta have when you're trying to do any sort of skill.
precisely. It's not just, it's not just things like this that occur in video games. It's also very much the same way, with real life. And you could think of it as a lot like the matchmaking. It's not always gonna, it's not fair, right? No matchmaking system is ever going to be perfect. No one ever said that life was going to be perfect, but we just have to roll with the punches. We got to keep moving forward and just make the most of what we got.
Now, granted, like to that, even though like generally like nothing is perfect and things are going to be unfair sometimes, there are definitely some games that have better matchmaking than others.
Agreed. Yes, definitely. Like I said, not perfect, but there are some that are better than others. I can definitely admit that. Nonetheless, though, I think that would be a good point to end on.
Yeah, we really went into like a weird tangent on this thing. Like we started out like talking about our favorite combos, and we got into like a whole ethics of the FGC sort of conversation.
Yeah, that whole second half of it was definitely not part of the plan, but part of me does feel like it was actually a bit of a good idea.
Yeah, and like this is
Very much
this like going back to, this is part of why we did this new format is because we wanted things to be more organic and we wanted things to like come out naturally and like go off on these like interesting tangents that might lead to some other fulfilling topics. So I think this is just an example of the fact that we're doing good with this new format. We might as well wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in for episode 3 of TNF. We're so glad that you guys are or we hope that you guys are enjoying this, and if you are, we're glad that you are.
I think with that said, we can pretty much end it here. So on behalf of Canine Calamity, this is Wolfpak signing off.
This is Shamaro leaving the dojo.
Stay safe, stay warm, or stay cool if you're here in the GTA because
Yeah,
we
we're having a weird season where we're just
really
having like a
weird
hot
weather going
spot.
on.
Yeah. So
It's
wherever you are, warm or cold, be the opposite of what your weather is like, and stay safe. And for those of us in Canada who just had Thanksgiving, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. For
yes,
those for
really.
those listeners who might be in the U.S., we hope that you can look forward to your Thanksgiving in November. So
Yes,
for
exactly.
I guess that's all we have to say. So as always, fight on.
Yeah, fight on, baby. We'll see you guys in the next one. Everybody take care.
Later.